Hi, this is Nanette Hausenfeld with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Saturday, September 14th, 2019. Looking at fire potential impacts over the next few days, we are looking at some strong winds Sunday and Monday across the area ahead of an approaching cold front. On Sunday, we were looking at wind gusts in the 35 to 45 mile an hour range across the red highlighted area, with winds a little bit less strong across the orange highlighted area. Those will be in the 25 to 30 mile an hour range. As we move into Monday, we'll see widespread, very strong gusty winds. Those will be in the 40 to 50 mile an hour range across a fairly large area of the Great Basin. And we'll also see some isolated mixed wet and dry thunderstorms across portions of eastern and southeastern Utah. Over the past 24 hours, there's no precipitation and no lightning. Initial attack yesterday was very light. Over the past 7 days, there's been quite a bit of precipitation across the northern part of the area. You can see that we have seen well above normal precipitation across the far north. However, as we move further south across the Great Basin, conditions really have been quite dry. You can see this pattern reflected in the ERC map, with ERCs above the 70th and 80th percentile across the southern part of the Great Basin, where it's been warmer and drier. Continuing to look at the ERCs, you can see GB32 in southeastern Utah is setting records for how high the ERCs are, and that's really just due to the lack of moisture and how warm it has been down there. Further west across GB12, where we will be seeing some gusty winds tomorrow, you can see ERCs are well below normal. So as we move further north into the Great Basin, where precipitation has been above normal and temperatures have been cooler, those ERCs are much lower. Live fuel moisture is generally at or below normal across the area, so those live fuels are definitely available to burn. They have dropped below those critical levels. 10-hour fuel moistures are quite low across the southern part of the Great Basin and much higher further north. The satellite this morning shows westerly flow across the Great Basin, and you can see this low pressure system off the coast of Canada, and that will impact the Great Basin later this week. So for today, you can see some really dry air in place across the Great Basin with that storm system further north, and kind of a transition from green to yellow to brown from north to south across the Great Basin. Looking at today in more detail, we could see some gusty winds across portions of western Nevada and into southwestern Idaho, but generally wind speeds below 30 miles an hour. As we move into Sunday, we'll start to see winds really pick up as that low pressure system begins to make its way towards the area. We are highlighting portions of western Nevada with a high risk for winds out of concern with those winds. Looking at that in more detail, you can really see the gusty winds expected across portions of the Great Basin. Really strong winds expected across western Nevada and making their way into southwestern Idaho, again in that 40 to 45 mile an hour range. And we will see very low humidities tomorrow. Relative humidities will be below 15% across much of the western part of the Great Basin. As we move into Monday, that weather system continues to impact us, making its way through the Great Basin, and we will see gusty winds impacting a much larger portion of the Great Basin on Monday. You can see a pretty large area of the Great Basin that has been highlighted for that wind threat on Monday. And looking at Monday in more detail, again, you can see those really strong winds associated with a cold front moving through on Monday. Relative humidities will be increasing behind the cold front, and so we will see an increase in those relative humidities from northwest to southeast across the area. Over the next 3 days, much of the Great Basin will see precipitation due to that weather system. It does look like southern Nevada will remain dry, and that has been the driest part of the area over the past 2 weeks, and will continue to remain quite dry across that portion of the Great Basin for the next 3 days. Moving into Tuesday, we see some drier air make its way into the Great Basin. Lighter winds generally on Tuesday. And then as another storm system begins to make its way into the area on Wednesday, we would expect to see those winds increase yet again across kind of the same areas of the Great Basin that we're expecting to see those high winds over the next few days. So in the Tuesday and Wednesday time period, again, the majority of the precipitation that we see will be across the northern part of the Great Basin and far east. As we move into Thursday, we see that storm system again making its way into the Great Basin. We would expect to see some pretty strong winds across much of the area on Thursday, and then moving into Friday. So again, with these storm systems brushing by to the north, as you can see in this precipitation map, really it does look to remain quite dry across central and southern Nevada over the next 7 days. Finally, in the 8 to 14 day outlook, the Climate Prediction Center is calling for above normal temperatures across the entire area. They are forecasting above normal precipitation across the southern part of the Great Basin, which would be quite a change from what we have seen, and bring some precipitation to the southern part of the areas that have remained quite dry. That's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Our information is on the screen, and you can also find us on Twitter. Thank you.